Okay, hello everyone. My name is Samantha, and this team is going to be talking about assessing grammar. So we're going to be looking at some of the topics and some of the important things that it's about assessing grammar. So if my partner can go to the next slide so we can continue. Okay, the first topic that we're going to be looking on is what is grammar. We're going to be looking at some definitions and also some features that it's including grammar. Next one, please. Okay, a common contemporary definition of grammar is the underlying structure of a language that any native speaker of that language knows intuitively. The systematic description of the features of a language is also grammar. So we can see here that we have kind of two definitions of what can be grammar. So we're going to go to the next slide, please. Okay, we have here four features that is included on grammar. We have morphology, semantics, morphology, and syntax. As we can know, and as we can see also, morphology, it's focused on the sound. Semantics, it's focused on the meaning. Morphology, it's focused on the system of a word formation. And syntax is focused on the patterns of the word arrangement. Or also, it can be known as a sentence. Next one, please. Okay, depending on the grammarian approach, a grammar can be prescriptive, descriptive, and generative. Prescriptive, it's meaning providing rules for a correct usage. Descriptive, it's for describing how a language is used. And generative, it's providing instructions of the product of the production, an infinite number of sentences in a language. Next one, please.
Okay, so I'm Hope, and I'm gonna be talking about how is grammar made of. Next slide, please. So to summarize what Samantha just said, we can say that at a high level, the definition of grammar is a system of rules that allow us to structure sentences. If we go back in time, the Greeks were the first ones to write grammar. To them, grammar was a tool that could be used to study, in this case, their literature, which is Greek. Next slide, please. So nowadays, we can say that nowadays, Lyndon Murray was an American Quaker lawyer, writer, and grammarian, best known for his English grammar books used in the United Kingdom and United States. He was named the father of English grammar because of his work. Next slide, please. So we can say that English grammar has four categories, which consists of parts of speech, punctuation, clauses, and mechanics of the language. For parts of speech, we have verbs, adjectives, nouns, adverbs, modifiers, etc. For punctuation, we have commas, semicolons, and periods. For clauses, we have independent clauses, dependent clauses, and compound clauses. For mechanics of the language, we have word order, semantics, and lastly, we have sentence structure.
So, hi, I'm Alejandra, and I'm going to talk about what does research say about grammar. So, grammar structure has an important role to play in helping students to speak and write more effectively. Its primary goal is to enable students to carry out their communication purposes, whether verbally or in writing. According to Chin, effective grammar instruction begins with that students already know about grammar, and it helps them use this knowledge as they write. Therefore, as teacher, we must determine what the students already know about grammar and build up that knowledge. Grammar instruction needs to be coached in meaning context, which includes appropriate student support as well as involve them in learning experience that encompass whole class instruction, small group instruction, collaboration in pairs, and independent work. An example is in a research study conducted by Feng and Powers on the effect of explicit grammar instruction. Two specific questions were addressed for guiding their study. First of all is, does error-based grammar instruction have positive short-term effect on student writing? And the second one is, error-based grammar instruction has positive long-term on student writing. For this study, a decrease of 20% will be considered positively effect. The data of this study consists of student writing samples that were collected at 3 different points in school year. Struggling writings often lack or have ineffective strategy for assessing the knowledge they possess. Therefore, effective research-based strategies must be employed in the classroom to help struggling writings to become successful writing. Researchers have argument that writing strategies, knowledge, skills, and motivation all playing an important role in student growth and as writers. Because of the way in which affective and cognitive processes interact with writing, it is important that intervention for development writing ability focus on a strategy for develop both motivation and cognitive process. So one promising approach to enhancing the writing skills of students is to really teach them strategy for carrying out basic writing process such as planning, drafting, and revising. The next slide, please. So writing is a difficult task for most students, and therefore quality instruction is needed daily. A high quality writing program will provide a balance between opportunities for students to engage in writing that is meaningful to them. It will also allow them to receive explicit instruction in the skills and strategies they need to become proficient writers. The process of teaching effective writing instruction at the beginning of student formal education experience is one way of providing difficult and negative reaction to writing.
I'm Ben, and I'm how do we test grammar? There are a variety of types of grammar tests, such as fill in the blank, composition-based, multiple choice, authentic assessment, and sentence diagramming. In general, grammar tests try to assess students' use of language in its totality as well as various parts and rules of language. Grammar tests might focus on skills such as sentence structure, using and identifying parts of speech, punctuation, spelling, and capitalization. They might also focus on complex and compound sentences and sentence connection as well as writing connect sentences and paragraphs. Types of tests. Fill in the blank test. Fill in the blank test, for example, they might be asked which form of word such as there, and they are certain sentence requires and then to be asked to fill in the blank. For this type of test, students might be or might not be provided with a list of words from which to choose. Multiple choice format, another type of grammar test that is common used in the multiple choice format. For this format, students are asked a question and then given several choices from which to pick. With one of them, bring the correct choice. Students might bring the correct choice. Students might be asked to identify which part of speak a certain word, and it might be guided choices. They might also be asked what measures to take to correct the sentence and might be given several choices. Sentence, hospitality sentence diagramming is another activity that students might be asked to do. They must make graphic representation for the parts of speech in a sentence. Students draw lines and write the words from the sentence in predicated format to show how each word functions in a certain part of speech. Another test is composition-based grammar. Are another way to check students' learning and mastery of grammar of concepts. For these types of tests, students might be asked to write sentences and paragraphs, or even a short essay in which incorporate various rules and types of grammar elements correctly. On this kind of test, for example, students might be asked to take sentence and combine them correctly. They might also be asked to take a paragraph that is written incorrectly and write it in grammatically correct again. Another and lastly type of grammar test is the authentic assessment. Is another way to check for students' understanding and grammatical rules. For example, they might be asked to take newspaper article and make corrections and implements. The difference between these and the types of grammar tests is that tests using grammar and language in their natural format and authentic context. Although this still is an academic activity that is more related to real life and use of grammar rules than other types of grammar tests.
Okay, well, thank you very much for listening to our presentation. If you have any questions regarding the presentation or something like that, there's going to be the form. You can leave a comment there or the question, or you can also look again for the video. We're going to be doing some activities for the next classes. So I hope that this presentation was clear to you, and I hope that we can do a great activity for next classes. Thank you so much for listening to the team of Assessing Grammar, and I wish you a happy study. Thank you.